What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook, this is Blue Giant Media, and we're here to connect through gaming. Today we're going to take a look at The Favor of the Pharaoh by Tom Lehman and published by Bezier Games. We're going to take a look at a quick overview of the rules before we come back and I let you know what I do like, what I don't like, and who I think may or may not like Favor of the Pharaoh. There's also a whole bunch more that you can mix in. There's 6 of each from each level. These are all level 3, meaning it takes 3 dice to get them. These are all level 4. So here's all my level 3 yellows, level 3 blues, level 3 reds, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7. There's not like a preset way of how to do this. This is just kind of looking at the size of the pockets, what kind of made sense to me, but it's not set and doesn't necessarily make a whole bunch of sense as it is, because like everything's mixed in and there's pockets that are bigger than they need to be. It's kind of a mess. But there's multiple options here, and also you can see that on these little deals, there's an A side and a B side, and they are a little bit different. Right now I'm playing the B side, and then you can also see that there's a number that has a 1 on it. That means that regardless of the number of players, there's going to be 1 tile of each kind on that row. This one says -2. So in a 2-player game, there's still going to be 1 because there's always a minimum of 1. But if they're a 4-player game, then there'd be 2 on there. So anyway, the ultimate point of the game is to win the final roll-off. But in the process of getting there, the end game is going to be enacted when someone gets 7 of a kind by getting the queen. Once someone gets that, then it goes into the final roll-off, but along the way you're going to be getting all of these different tiles that are going to give you more dice, different kinds of dice, ways to manipulate the dice, and different things like that. So each individual round is going to involve the active player taking all the dice that they have at their disposal to start the round, rolling them, and then you must lock in at least 1 die each time you roll. So I can look at this. This is all dice greater than 4 in order to claim this. 3 of them, they don't have to all be if I've got 7 of them. Only I have to set aside 3 of them to claim that. So I can go ahead and save that 6, roll the rest, and that sucks. I'm gonna go ahead and just lock in that 2 there, and then I've got a 4. So I've got 12. So I can't get this because I need 15 or more. I don't have all odd, I don't have all greater than 4, and I don't have 3 of a kind. So what happens when you don't get anything? That's when you can go ahead and take one of these. This says after you have locked in a pair, then you can add a red die to your total. So that's like the consolation prize one. Now this player, since they went second, they're going to be able to start the game with one of these scarab tokens. And these scarab tokens are always one of these that adds 1 pip to the die roll, or one of these, which allows you to re-roll 1 die. So what I'm going to do, same type of deal. I'm going to roll my dice. I've got, there's 2 5s. That's nice. So I'll lock those in. Take my last one. Darn it, that's a 2. Well, I'm going to go ahead and use that to make it a 3 so that I can grab this. Whenever you grab a blue one, you're going to get 1 scarab token. Whenever you grab a red one, you're going to get 2 scarab tokens. The blues give you ways to manipulate dice, and the reds give you a 1-time in the game power. These can be used once per round. Like this one says that I can add 1, 2, or 3 to one of my die rolls. So it's like one of these, it's kind of built in, which is really nice. It's not just one of those, it's even better than one of those. And it comes with 1. Okay. Then the dice are going to come back over here. This player will do the same type of thing. They're going to roll. All right, well, let's go ahead and save that 5 because we want to try and at least have odd numbers. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's lock in a pair, which lets us then add another red die. All right, well, let's go ahead and just lock in all odd ourselves and grab that same thing. Now, if this person hadn't grabbed that one, this player couldn't grab a second one. You can't have 2 of the same tile. Then it'd come back over here, and you're going to keep going back and forth like this, gaining different dice. Different dice do different things. Like the white dice are called immediate dice. When you roll them, you can still use like your scarab tokens and different manipulations of these with them, but they have to be locked at the end of the first roll. You can't take the immediate dice into the following roll. You don't really have a built-in reroll, only if you use tokens and other powers on the immediate dice. As I said, the red tiles can only be used once. The yellow die, for instance, is numbered, has 1 3, 1 4, 2 faces that are 6s and 2 faces that are 5s. So the dice are a little bit different. Some have powers on them. This one lets you make any die whatever you want, and then that plus means that you can use the bonus of one of the powers that your opponent has. So you can make one die whatever number you want, and if you actually lock it, then you get to use one of your opponent's powers. So kind of interesting because it does something just when you roll it, but then it does even more if you choose to lock it. The black die here, if you lock this side, you get to add 2 red dice to your pool. Also gives you some reroll, make a die, say a face whatever you want. And if you roll this face, you can lock it, but it technically has no value. So it's a lot better to re-roll it when you get that face, if you can. And there's a couple other ones, but they do different things. And as I said, ultimately, when you get to the end of the game, let's say whoever claimed it by getting seven threes. Then on this player's turn, let's say that throughout the game they had acquired, let's see, like a whole bunch of dice. So then this person, they got the queen. And it's going to come to this player's turn. They're going to take all the dice that they have. They're going to roll them. And, all right, well, let's see. We've got that. Oh, we got 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. We can use this to make this a 5. Then we can roll the rest. Hey, I'm going to lock that and add 2 more red dice. I guess that technically would be adding 2 more dice on the next roll. All right, I got another 5. Got another 5. I'm going to use this to add 2 to this die and make it a 5. Roll the last one. It's a 4. Well, I'm going to use my reroll to see if I can get a 5. Couldn't get a 5, but let's see how many we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So then I take a 5 and put under the 9. If I had just gotten 7 5s, that'd still be better because 7 5s is better than 7 3s. So if I had, either way, let's say I beat that, I got 9 5s, then it's going to come back to this player and they're going to get a chance to reroll all their dice to see if they can beat that. And it's going to keep going back and forth or back around the table with people being knocked out when they can't better that score with their final roll until one person is the victor with the best final roll. Now that you have a pretty good idea of the rule set for Favor of the Pharaoh, I want to let you know what I like about the game. First of all, I like that it takes a game that I'm not super fond of and makes it interesting, that game being Yahtzee. As a kid, I mean, obviously Yahtzee, it's just fun. You roll dice. Dice are fun. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not a big fan of deterministic die rolls, where you roll the dice and you're like, oh, I just need to get this. All right, let me roll again. Let's see if I can get exactly what I need. And no, I didn't get it. I'm not a big fan of that. But this game, you have a lot more flexibility. You can roll those dice. You can, instead of just having 3 rolls, depending on what you get, you have different ways that you can work with things. You've got the little scarabs that can either give you more rerolls or add pips. You have different kinds of dice that can affect your odds a little bit more directly. You have different things that you can go for round to round. So I like that there's different ways that you can mitigate your luck, and you can basically make that rolling the dice a little bit more interesting. The way you acquire more, the way you can build up, that sense of engine building is always a lot of fun. I like games that have that aspect. The different colored dice are nice. The dice have a good feel. So a lot of good stuff in terms of that. Things that I'm not a big fan of in the game is just if everything that you do throughout the course of the game, all this building up, all this engine building, doesn't mean anything until the very last round of the game. And while that's somewhat interesting for some people, you know, it can be a good gateway game for that, because as you're playing, you're just like, oh, this is fun, I got some stuff. Oh, this is fun, I got some stuff. It has no bearing directly on who's winning. So, you know, it's just, it has a little bit of a different feel in that way, and it's not something that necessarily directly appeals to me. That may be great for some people, but for me, that sense of, I have no idea necessarily where I stand. You know, maybe this person's got a bunch of dice, you know, they got 1 or 2 more than me, but I've got all these scarabs, all these ways to reroll, all these ways to manage exactly what I want, all these different powers that let me manipulate the dice so I can be guaranteed to get a great roll at the end. And that makes it so even after all that interesting engine building, these different ways to get mitigation, you can get to the end, and that person who has more dice could just have, yay, the dice favored them. And that's what I don't like about games. That, you know, a big pet peeve, a big negative for me in gaming is that even through all of that, it gets to the end, I could have all these different ways to mitigate, and the dice could still just hate me. And they often do. So I mean, it's interesting. You do have that aspect of you can control a lot of the luck factors by getting all these different things, the way you build your dice as you go. But in the end, it's still a die rolling game. I mean, Tom Lehman is he's one of my favorite designers. I mean, can you really say someone's your favorite designer if they've only got a couple games that you're a huge fan of? I love Race for the Galaxy. Absolutely love it. Jump Drive, Roll for the Galaxy, New Frontiers, any of those. But they're, in a sense, they're all the same game. But this is different. And while it's okay, this is a try not buy for me. You know, it's fun. I'll play it. Someone recommends it, but it's not the kind of thing where like, man, I just got to get this to the table. It's a great gateway. It's different. But it does not grab me. Also, those pyramids are completely pointless, and the insert does not make any sense. I want more of those different little sticks that have the different things that you're going to be trying to get to, you know, roll in order to acquire the different tiles. I want more options in there. I want more combinations in there. I want even more variety of dice. It's just like, why are the pyramids there? Like, they're completely pointless. The only thing that they have any bearing on whatsoever at all at any point in the game is at the very last round when you save a die and you slot it with whatever number. Like, I got 7 6s. Okay, well, I'm going to take a 6 and I'm going to put it on the 7. That's the only time it does anything remotely relative to the game other than just being present. So to me, that's completely pointless, and that bothers me. Scarabs always being add 1. Maybe some scarabs could be -1 or plus or -1. Rerolls in general just suck because dice always hate you. And like, if you're sitting there like, okay, I'm gonna re-roll this, I just got to get something. Well, you got a 1 in 6 chance of getting something that's beneficial. Whereas with the pips, they're way better than the rerolls, like every time. I like being able to get them when you buy blue or reds. I like the fact that some of the things that come with more dice don't come with those, to basically make it so you're choosing between more dice but less control, or less dice but more control. I think that's interesting, but in the end, ultimately, it can just be the dice hit you. And I'm going to try and stop coming back to that, but you can see how important that is to me. People who are going to like this game, if you still enjoy Yahtzee and you're just a fan of rolling dice, I think this is great because everybody is still in it up until the end. Even if you have 3 fewer dice than somebody, you could, if you've got better mitigation, you could still win because the dice could hate them. And then you're on the other side of that coin. But in reality, the whole time you're playing, you're still in it. Yeah, liking dice and being in it, engine building, I think that just about covers the kind of things, you know, whether you'll like the game is if you like those things. You're not going to like the game if you want any kind of resource management, any kind of, I don't know, if you're just not like me and you're not a fan of luck, you're not a fan of that kind of thing, that's gonna bug you like it does me. So, and also, it's a big old box for a stack of tiles, which there could be more of, that don't make any sense in how they're fitting in the box. That, you know, there's these useless pyramids. Ultimately, all of this stuff should fit in like a box the size of like the tiny Epic games or something like that. It does not need to be a box that big, and it doesn't need to be that expensive. So I think it's overpriced. I think it's overproduced. I think it's on the lighter side. And if it were cheaper and took up less shelf space, I would say it's a fun enough filler type game because it's pretty close to filler length. If it was filler sized and filler priced, then I would say, you know, that's a solid game. As it is, it's okay, in my opinion. And I guess that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's go ahead and take the spotlight off of Favor of the Pharaoh by Tom Lehman and published by Bezier Games. If you want to know more about the Favor of the Pharaoh, take a look in the description section where you can find a link to my unboxing as well as a real-time setup and more expansive gameplay overview. And you can also find a link there to macronovagames.com where you can buy Favor of the Pharaoh and hundreds of other great games. Until next time, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see, and let me know in the comment section below if you have any feedback. Reasons why I'm totally off base, reasons why you agree with me, recommendations on other things I can do, or just corrections on things that I got wrong. Whatever, I'd love to connect with you. And as always, have a wonderful day.